Sites with data trends to create different experiences on YouTube. And I've been there for almost 6 years now, and I've worked on a lot of different projects. Some of the things I'm working on right now are these different in-app experiences, as well as some fun community projects like Rewind, which you may have seen, which is sort of our big end of the year announcement of the most popular videos of the year. And as our sort of resident viral video expert, I've watched so much evolve over the past few years. We've watched small movies help turn internet culture into mainstream culture. We've seen this huge influx of creative savvy from the advertising community that's inundated the web with interesting creative work. And I've watched YouTube stars go from sort of punchlines to these cultural forces. And even if it's not your thing, it's hard now to deny that this new generation of generation's brand of entertainment is becoming increasingly ubiquitous and influential with a big segment of the population. And yet, when you sort of look at this all together, it can be hard to make sense of it, I think, because so much of what's happening still feels a little mystifying. I mean, we all get that, like Zoella, fashion beauty star, she's a big deal. But that seems to have little to do with like the unlikely pop star rise of Meghan Trainor thanks to her YouTube fan base, or things like this, the pizza rat, right? It's like all this. Some of the things that happen seem just sort of unnatural and disconnected. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately because I'm actually writing a book right now about the democratization of creativity and art, video, and I mean I feel like this medium is very new. It's sort of my perspective on it. And it seems like it's been around for a while, but it's actually a new medium and it's distinct. And so many of us grew up with a different media that valued different behaviors than those that this environment encourages. And that makes it kind of hard to process, and it leaves us questioning things sometimes. So today, I'm going to try to isolate 3 principles that I feel are foundational to the most popular sort of web video phenomenon, particularly the stuff that's a little more head-scratching. And these are concepts that might not feel like groundbreaking, but the result of them is this unparalleled breadth of creativity that we're seeing. And that can be simultaneously weird and confusing, but it's also incredibly exciting, I think. So the first one, we're going to look at the implications of a global platform of open distribution. Then we're going to look at the idea of a participatory media environment. And then we're going to look at how all of this has led to an individualized culture that is more an aggregate of any specific, deeply personal parts, rather than one big mass media machine. And we're going to watch a lot of YouTube videos, because this is sort of a guilt-free excuse to professionally watch YouTube videos for a few minutes. Okay, so we're going to start with the one of the basic concepts of YouTube. And this doesn't sound super sexy, but it really is a game-changing thing for creativity. YouTube and other platforms have introduced this model where anybody can share a video with anyone else, no matter where they are. And that's something that, if you actually think about it, has never been possible before in our history. And that has some pretty big implications, actually. 100 years ago, broadcast communication was limited to how far an antenna could reach, right? And then 20 years ago, it was limited by cable lines and satellite dishes. And so programming was defined by people who had access to infrastructure that the vast majority of us did not. And so that programming needed to appeal to the broadest possible audience as an economic imperative in order to justify its costly distribution. And so all of a sudden that didn't matter anymore, and online video was this world that didn't have gatekeepers. And so passionate individuals could connect with specific fan bases that were able to develop these niche, meaningful viewing experiences. And sometimes these niches could be really isolated, and we're going to talk about that a little later. But they can also aggregate into something that feels a bit more like mainstream entertainment. In 2015, the top 2 search queries on YouTube were music and then Minecraft. In the past, you couldn't have one video game that would have its own channel or show. That would have made no sense. But yet Minecraft has many. Sky does Minecraft, who is the producer of this video, went from being totally unknown to a channel with over 1 billion views in less than 2 years. Diamond Minecart is another one of them that launched a couple of years, 2 years ago, and became quickly, and within 2 years, became one of the top 10 most watched channels on YouTube. And so, in addition to this, while many people mistakenly associated YouTube with pet videos for a long time, you'll remember this, other seemingly less popular genres like beauty and education quickly overtook them years ago in terms of what people were uploading and watching. Beauty videos were so huge that a tutorial celebrity like Michelle Phan could go from a girl who was getting turned down from a job at Lancome to being their spokesmodel and having 8.5 million subscribers. Dance, science, tech reviewing, I mean, these were all niches that would be too specific or random to be serviced by a platform like television, but when the audience became the whole world and we had these passionate, creative people who could reach them instantly, a new world of media stars emerged with these global followings through YouTube. So part of the reason that creators have been successful is that even though their genres might be niche in some cases, they now have this massive addressable audience that they can reach, which provides some kind of critical mass of viewers. It no longer matters where the content originates. Think about this for a second. The most popular channel in the United States is a Swedish gaming bro. From 2012 to 2014, the #1 trending videos for each of those years were from different countries that individually represent less than 0.75% of the world's population. A singer from Oregon can collaborate with a music creator in Saudi Arabia to cover a song from India that would make a popular video in Morocco. Or you can have a dancer from the Philippines named Valenciano can invent his own meme and they call it the super selfie and have it become a big hit on the other side of the world. Where Beyonce releases a hugely popular video, 7-Eleven. That drew its visual inspiration from said dancer in the Philippines. The conceit of Beyonce's 7-Eleven was an homage to Gabriel Lenciano, and Beyonce has a history of sort of scouring the web for creative inspiration, and they were both together nominated for an MTV VMA Award. Beyond music videos, though, this open model has implications for creative teams of all kinds. For most of the 20th century, marketers had a great deal of control over the context in which their messages were experienced. You bought ads against a certain programming block or a particular magazine with a high level of expectation of when and how people would be exposed to them. But the world has changed, obviously. Over half of YouTube viewing is on mobile, hundreds of millions of videos are watched via social platforms where content is mixed in with innumerable other discussions and contexts. In fact, the portability of content on the web means that context and conversation can be generated around messages in ways that are sometimes impossible to predict and evolve in very strange ways. This is an example. This is a viewership chart for a specific music video on YouTube. Now, this song that it's a chart of was released and charted 15 years ago. But it still sees some modest viewership, except that we noticed it was spiking on April 30th of every year. Which seems kind of random, but this is the video. This is the reason why. And YouTube is filled with examples like this that show how content can now not just reach audiences that we wouldn't have been able to reach before, but it also opens up connection points that likewise wouldn't have existed previously. You can't sort of talk about this stuff without talking about interactivity. And I don't mean literal interaction, though that is something that can exist too. I actually mean this in the broader sense of how we connect to each other through and around content. Actually, we often say that YouTube is a conversation. And people have become very used to thinking about entertainment in a specific way. I know I have, right? An audience that is receiving and reacting to content. That's the relationship. But what if the content was just actually the start of the experience? And going a step further, what if content needed the audience's participation in order to complete the experience? YouTube creators very quickly became some of the biggest stars in the world by inspiring these communities to form that were connected to them and to one another. Communities that they didn't just want to watch, but they wanted to be a part of entertainment in a way that didn't really exist on TV or in the movie theater. Even fans have their own nicknames in this world. Gaming king PewDiePie, his fans are known as the Bro Army. Fashion and beauty star Bethany Moda as the Motivators. Blogger Grayson Helbig is the Graceless. I mean, all of the names, just goes on and on. When I was a kid, I remember there was one of those groups, it was Trekkies. That was the only one I could think of. But now this sort of fan identity thing has invaded all aspects of mainstream culture. And we have Directioners and Swifties and Believers. And it's not a coincidence that superhero culture has become so huge right now, such a huge market. This is a viewership chart for the Marvel's official channels, which is almost entirely just trailers. And people have been watching trailers on the web for years, but Marvel has turned so many of these advertising moments into these huge fan moments. So I'll show you one of the biggest spikes ever here. It was just a couple weeks ago. This is the second trailer for the sequel to Captain America, Civil War. And it was a huge spike. Well, you might ask why there's a huge spike for the second trailer that comes out, not even the sort of teaser trailer. And it's because Marvel had a little moment at the end.
All right, I ran out of patience. On the roof! Hey everyone.
So this is like the 6th time Spider-Man has been in a movie in the last 10 years. But the fan bases are so strong and rabid for these films and the culture that surrounds them that a sneak peek like that sets off wave after wave of discussion and speculation. The trailer was the top search on YouTube that day when it came out. And Marvel doesn't sort of invent moments, they actually just take advantage of these moments within their own fan communities. And those communities have become quite massive. And from movie studios to creators, many of those who are succeeding are create with a fan experience at the center of their work. It's not a coincidence that YouTube creators often start their videos the exact same way.
Hey guys, 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 hi guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys, hi guys, hi guys, hey guys, hey guys, hey guys.
So to the creator, these communities that they're addressing are a part of the content experience. Think about this for a second, it's kind of an interesting stat. So 3 of the most popular series on YouTube have their programming driven by the audience. The Fine Brothers React series, Epic Rap Battles of History, and Honest Trailers, they all source their ideas from their community. And it's approximately 2 billion views just last year for those channels. And that interactivity dynamic can be actually harnessed by anyone. And I think that says a lot about where the sort of history of creativity we are right now. But sometimes the viewer and content relationship extends out in these more dramatic and unlikely ways. We already discussed the NSYNC example, but here's this is another one. Any idea what video sees this viewership pattern every year? Ghastly, the Rickroll, right? It makes sense. People are most likely to Rickroll you on April Fool's Day, right at the start of April. And a lot of the sort of Rickrolling, which is the sort of bait and switch, just somebody says you're going to see something, and they show you a video if you don't know. A lot of that stuff comes through Reddit. It's like the popular social bookmarking site. And we actually did some analysis to figure out where those views through Reddit were coming from. And there's some incredible ingenuity around this. This is a chart of Rickroll posts on Reddit. And even though this joke is 10 years old now, it continues to be popular. There's actually more last year than any year before that. And the first large-scale Rickroll was back on Reddit in 2008, which is this one. one, but some of the biggest ones actually came from the last 2 years, these two. An interesting thing to me about this is that, like, obviously Rick Astley didn't create this to be used in this way or at this time, right? That extra meaning and relevance was generated by the audience, a phenomenon that it was incredibly rare in the last century, but is becoming very common now. We see like the biggest creative talents in the world are now making this a part of their content strategies. We talked about Beyonce's 7-Eleven before. That was it received huge praise when it came out. And the way it was produced, which is basically a series of animated images, allowed for an immediate interactivity. And Beyonce and her crew really understand their audience because the internet was flooded with animated memes like these. Her work went from music video to remix art in seconds. And it helped that video become one of her biggest videos ever. Actually, another one of the biggest music videos of last year took advantage of the same principle.
You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. I know when you holla at me, but can only mean one thing. I know when you holla at me.
Fans and publications, they were describing Drake's Hotline Bling as the meme-ready music video, which is something I never heard before. But they were right. People were remixing Drake and his terrible dance moves into everything. And Hotline Bling became his most watched video ever now. Music video art is now being made with the understanding that fans will take it and make it their own, which is very interesting. These are just some examples of content and creativity where the video acts as a vehicle for our interactivity. This happens all the time, actually. We reappropriate songs or videos to serve these alternate purposes or represent other ideas or concepts. In fact, there are many instances where the content is less popular because of what the content itself says, but more because of what the content says about the person who is sharing it, what it says about their identity. This is one of the most viewed videos from the World Cup in 2014. If you're a fan, you'll remember that this is from when Germany defeated Brazil 7-1 during the World Cup. This was viewed about 18 million times, and it spread because of what it said about the fans' expression of their own identity as a fan. This is how channels like BuzzFeed now average over 150 million views a week by creating things that people not just enjoy, but they also want to talk about and associate their identities with online. They create content that their audiences use to communicate about themselves. So these videos, they speak to our identity, right? And they compel us to want to associate them with ourselves online, socially, in social media contexts. And so it's not hard to see how we're becoming these willing participants in our entertainment media. And that's something that professional sports leagues have been figuring out in a very literal way. Major League Baseball uploaded 50,000 videos during the 2014 season. These were the most watched of those 50,000 videos. Only 3 of them were of baseball players actually playing baseball. And in fact, many of them don't even have baseball players in them. Jonathan Esponda is from Miami, who's where I'm from, and his video was on the Jumbotron and it quickly made its way to the web and people really loved it. It's sort of haunting. That's great. There were millions of Vine loops, millions of views on YouTube. I mean, this is ridiculous, obviously, but it actually represents this shift in the context of where it comes from. It's cool, this shift is cool and invigorating, but I understand it's also, it can be a little weird, right? And what we're seeing here is essentially a blurring of the line between content and viewer, right? Which suggests that we can't just think about content as a passive experience for the audience anymore. For brands and content creators, the objective is increasingly to inspire people to participate in some way. One of 2015's most interesting examples of aggregate participatory culture came from the Central St. Louis University of the Arts here in London. Anybody go there? Maybe you know the story, it's kind of interesting. Working with a trio of collaborators, a British artist, a Finnish artist, and an LA-based actor, graduating students were given the opportunity to write a short script for their graduate show, and the actor they were working with would film those scripts in front of a green screen in Los Angeles so the clips could be used to intro each of the students' final presentations. This work collectively was called Introductions, and the actor that was filming these was Shia LaBeouf. And one of the students submitted some text that was exploring the corporatization of public health. And that monologue, along with all the others, was posted online. This is an excerpt of that monologue.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
So this clip was particularly popular, partly because of the bizarre experience of watching it in the abstract, but also because there's actually a lot that you can do with it, apparently. You can imagine Shia LaBeouf on your porch.
Oh my god, is he out there again? Hey, didn't I tell you yesterday I was calling the cops?
Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it!
How are you even getting up here? That's an impossible climb.
Nothing is impossible!
Are you jumping down from the roof or something?
Do it!
I swear to God, if you're jumping down from up there.
You should get to the point.
God damn it, Shia.
You could place him in famous films.
Hello, Hal, you read me?
Affirmative, Dave. I'll read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Yes, you can! Just do it!
It could be pretty inspirational.
Stop giving up.
And it seemed to fit in so many situations.
We'll never get it out now. Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. Matthew, moving stones around is one thing. This is totally different. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there.
All right, I'm gonna try.
No, what are you waiting for? Do it!
There were just an endless number of copies and reinventions of this. And so many of us saw this as this weird and bizarre amalgamation of Shia LaBeouf's increasingly strange celebrity behavior and this sort of inexplicableness of internet-based reappropriation. But for the artists who actually made this, this was sort of exactly what was intended. In fact, they said, the audience for our projects and experiences are as much a part of the work as we are. They complete the work. It comes from this idea that we are all artists. LaBeouf and his collaborators understood this sort of social environment that we're in now. And while 2001: A Space Odyssey might not have been in their original plans, the base work from which this Shia meme originated left it open for us to complete. Our participation was seen as essential to completing the work. The creative achievement wasn't complete until we played our role in it. This is the heart of what it means to have a participatory culture, and that's a question for a lot of you, is how we make use of that. As we shift away from a one direction mass media dynamic, the creativity that is dominating our culture is markedly different. what we're watching, what we're sharing, and connecting with is increasingly personal, and it's born of individual experiences. We're going to go back to the beginning for a second. YouTube's first video. It was uploaded in April of 2005. It's called Me at the Zoo. You've probably seen this at some point before. It's a little piece of internet history now. It was an ordinary moment captured on an otherwise ordinary day, and so much of the early days of video reflected our basic experiences and interests like that. Has anybody ever seen the second video uploaded to YouTube? It's a little more obscure. It's this. Rough start to YouTube, but we were capturing our reality, right? And so much of the early creativity was driven by things that were personal and novel to us, right? Not to some anticipated audience of millions. It was creativity based on what was accessible in our lives. And one thing that was particularly accessible to people at that time, apparently, were pets. And so the web, remember, had a reputation for cat videos for a very long time, and still, in a way, does. But this shouldn't be surprising though. I'm going to show you something. This film was shot by Thomas Edison on his kinetograph in 1894. The kinetograph is one of the world's earliest motion picture cameras, so this is not just the first cat video ever recorded, it is also one of the first pieces of film ever recorded. If you go back beyond the birth of film, though, you can see that Picasso, Renoir, and Da Vinci all created cat art. The earliest known human paintings, which are on a cave wall in France, one of the earliest discovered visual expressions by our species, is filled with cats. Why? Cavemen and women reaching out with their crude tools were just expressing what was a part of their daily experience. They were sharing their experiences. And that's what web video is really about. It's about sharing experiences. And that's very clear when you look at phenomena on YouTube. Two of YouTube's most popular creators, Hank and John Green, they started out simply making video letters to one another. They were sharing their daily experiences with each other.
Hello, John. By now you have received my message that we will no longer be communicating through any textual means. No more instant messaging, no more emailing, only video blogging.
And their early videos like this, they reflect the novelty of web video at the time.
Good morning, Hank. It's Thursday, January 4th. I'm standing on top of Little Pisgah Mountain in North Carolina. That was actually recorded on Wednesday, January 3rd. But you'd have no way of knowing. I believe that's what they call movie magic.
The rawness and the realness of it was compelling and addictive, and since this time, Hank and John Green have become international stars, but they maintain some of those same qualities in their work. Right now we're seeing such interesting and creative approaches to sharing real-life experience. Last year, a 20-year-old Dutch beauty expert with the channel named Nikki Tutorials, she took advantage of this and responded to some negative comments that she experienced.
I'm going to do half my face, full on glam. I'm truly going to transform one side of my face, and the other side is going to be me. Raw, unedited, nothing, me, just me.
Challenged her audience, and then what she made created quite a bit of stir.
That, guys, is the power of makeup. By no means I want to say that if you have insecurities that you should just slap makeup on, feel better, and just never be content with your own self. I just want people to know that makeup is fun, and there are no rules to makeup.
This was watched by millions, but it also created that conversation. There are now hundreds of similar videos that other professional and amateur beauty bloggers posted that were inspired by this honest discussion that she wanted to engage in. And this was an open space in the advertising world as well. Brands are becoming more personal too. Volvo Trucks did this very famously and very effectively, getting their boss involved in the creative a few years ago.
My name is Claes Nilsson, president of Volvo Trucks. I've learned that when you want to make a YouTube hit, you need a hook at the beginning of the film. And here it is. This is a hook from the new Volvo FMX. Made of cast iron, and it holds up to 32 tons.
Even when they weren't being authentic by featuring their employees. They were being authentic by owning this voice that was fun and invoked a sort of unique absurdity that comes from the small goofy ideas that we all have. As evidenced by the clip that you've probably all seen, the most popular one from the same series. Flipping out when I saw this because it's like, this seems like an idea that my college roommates and I would have had, you know? And that's sort of the power of it. The absurdity of all of this helps create this brand and consumer relationship around this odd point of view. And we're in this interesting moment now where advertising is increasingly exercising a point of view on the world. These are all examples you've probably seen of creativity that's been driven by a point of view. So much of the best work now really leans into the same principles that make YouTube creators successful within this new environment. These things fit kind of neatly alongside these very personal experiences that are presented to a culture of individuality in the audience. And it's still the power of the individual that captivates me most about YouTube. The ability to turn someone's strange obsession into an affecting and creative experience. About a year or two ago, I came across this channel called Cars and Water, and I recently talked to the guy who made it, and it's run by this guy named Matt Newland, who is from Western New York State. He's sort of a tinkerer, and he's a workshop in his garage, and he had a ball of nickel from an old job, and so he got it really hot, and he put it in some water. Well, that's kind of cool. Maybe other people like to see that. So he started making some more videos like this type of thing. And these videos, much to Matt's surprise, found a pretty big audience. He wasn't making videos for a big audience. He was simply filming something in his garage that he found interesting and hoped that someone else might find them interesting too. So this series became the Red Hot Nickelball series, and people started sending him all kinds of stuff to put the nickelball on. They said this is some floral foam that someone sent him, and someone sent him a hockey puck. And now he's put the nickelball on over 100 different things, and he has no plans on stopping. There are over 750,000 people who subscribe to find out what happens. Of course, as you can see, not all things can be destroyed by a burning hot ball of nickel. There's actually another channel that can help with that. So this is the hydraulic press channel, which is run by a pretty jovial guy from Finland who runs a parts factory. And he was inspired by the Red Hot Nickelball guy, Matt, to make something fun with his own hobby. And whereas the nickelball can only get you so far with a hockey puck, hydraulic press got you covered.
Today we have hockey puck for our press. My wife really thinks that the press cannot break the hockey puck, and I am very confident that our press will crush this hockey puck. Let's see.
This channel just launched, but we can already see the possibilities are endless. This channel went from 17 to 600,000 subscribers in less than a month. But both the Red Hot Nickelball and the hydraulic press, they succeed because they play on our imagination and curiosity, but they exist because of the simple imagination and curiosity of these tinkerers who decided to capture what was interesting to them. I asked Matt what he tells people when he talks about making videos, and he tells people, do something you love to do, and maybe somebody will like watching you do it. And that's sort of the exact opposite of a mass media paradigm. A common thread with so many of these popular popular YouTube phenomena that are created by people who never expected to have an audience. But having a big audience doesn't necessarily matter in order to have a truly meaningful content experience. From predictable to obscure, we have anything that we have a passion for or a specific point of view on can now be something that audiences will rally around and will generate these vibrant and inspiring communities of hobbyists, of artists, of trained enthusiasts.
All right, look at that, a 1953 EA. Woo-hoo! Oh yeah, listen to that bell. Yeah, listen to that bell. Oh, take a look at that. Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn! Oh my God! Oh, she's beautiful!
And today there are very popular and some less popular communities of channels for anything that people are willing to care about. There are channels for watching covers of pop songs in American Sign Language. There are channels of pirate-themed speed metal. There are channels for learning how to pronounce things correctly.
Acai. Acai.
There are channels for learning how to pronounce things incorrectly.
Sign a kind of doty children. Kind of doty children.
There are channels that are for every sort of helpful tutorial that you might need.
The best way is to actually take the whole unit apart, take all the screws out, and then clean the heat exchanger that would go from the CPU.
There are channels with very unhelpful tutorials. There are very, very popular channels about nail art.
Finish off with a fast-drying top coat. This will seal in your design and give your nails a beautiful shine.
And less popular channels about amazing conspiracy theories about pop culture.
And the last phrase is really the most interesting. So call me maybe. Now he's not saying call me on the telephone. What the Antichrist is saying here is, my name is maybe. Call me maybe.
If you're passionate about something, there is an opportunity for you on YouTube and perhaps even a major audience. This is all a byproduct of an inversion of media. Rather than creating content designed to appeal to the masses, which is sort of the economic requirement of mass media, content creators on the web pursue things that they individually find interesting and compelling. The most important niche on YouTube is the niche of one, the person creating. And the result is that we have this explosion of sometimes nonsensical creative ingenuity that crosses professional and amateur lines. YouTube is increasingly filled with higher production value content, but it's hard, it's still about individual ingenuity, and it always has been. We saw very, very early on that amazing music videos could be made by anyone with a camera and a Sharpie. And then things you could buy in any store, Diet Coke and Mentos, could create a viral phenomenon. There are now more than 40,000 Diet Coke and Mentos videos on YouTube. They're still getting uploaded a decade later. And and they're basically turning something that every kid has talked about in the school cafeteria into this art form. Filmmaker Casey Neistat recently was named YouTube Creator of the Year with this organization in New York, and he's best known for producing TV shows and films and unconventional ad spots like these for Mercedes and Nike. And not long ago, he started focusing on web video, and last week marked his 500th upload. And I was really interested in the video that he posted to mark that occasion. This is an excerpt.
I remember my first upload. I remember being terrified, so scared to share on YouTube. At this point in my career, I had never done anything by myself. I had an idea for a little video, I made it, I didn't know where to put it, I put it on YouTube, and I was so scared to upload it. Because at that time I had like a show on HBO, I was producing feature films, I felt like a big deal. But YouTube has a counter. There was no hiding behind like the glamour that was television. It was just real. And that was a scary moment. And then slowly over time, I kept uploading and uploading and uploading, and then one went viral, and it popped, and a bunch of people saw it. And all of a sudden people started saying, hey, I saw your video on YouTube. And then making YouTube videos it was what I did. What do? I make YouTube videos, that's what I do. And then it became a bigger and bigger part of my career and my canon of work. And people stopped saying you're the guy from TV and started saying you're the guy from YouTube. And then I started uploading daily, and everything changed. And here I am, 500 YouTube videos later. And YouTube, a YouTuber, it's who I am.
So many of our biggest creators feel a strong sense of identity, not necessarily to the company that I work for or the piece of technology, but to their independence and the culture that it spawned that's driven by their own points of view. And that's an interesting prompt for all of us, like how can we create things that truly speak authentically and have impact in this type of environment. Right now, the diversity and uniqueness of what trends tells us that we're in this exciting moment, I think, in the history of media. Creativity is being distributed by these unprecedented and open global platforms. It's become interactive and created connections that were never before possible, and it reflects our individuality in some totally crazy ways. But this is a new medium, and we're barely testing its limits. By we, I mean anybody who creates, who watches, who interacts through video, because 11 years of YouTube have proved that entertainment culture is now defined through a combination of those actions. And creatives as well as brands who are leveraging this are the ones that break through. Like Thomas Edison with his kinetograph, we're just starting to explore what all this can bring us. Yesterday, YouTube announced live streaming in 360 with spatial audio, which is an incredible sort of piece of technology. Right? No one can shut up about VR right now. Right? These creative tools are increasingly at our collective disposal. And given how unpredictable the last decade has been, imagine how exciting and interesting the next decade will be and the impact that we can all have. Thank you.